see what we can do here. Love it. That's good. Mm-hmm. What's up, John? Yeah, we're going to do a Q&A. I'm just going to wait for some people to jump on here. And then we can talk prepper or Bible or whatever, dude. Yeah, we're just going to do a live Q&A, which will be fun for everybody. I think if we get some people on here, it'll be definitely worth its value. How's your first day going, brother? Right on. I'm smoked, man. I broke my diet last night. I had some homemade tamales from what's up, Tuna? From my sister, and I was like, woof. Yeah, and so I feel like shit today. I can't seem to get my energy. I'm like tired. So I'm trying to, oh, it reminds me, stand by. I gotta grab some water. Drink more water. Anyhow, so yeah, I'm cleaning out the big room, which is like still heavily under construction. What's up, Saucin? And I started loading some into the semi trailer we have for storage, and yeah, there's a bunch of crap we got to go through still. It's weird how much stuff we hold on to over the years, and yeah, it's really weird how much stuff we hold on to, and then it's like, what do I do with this? Well, it's not trash, but like, is it worth anything? Why do Pentecostals wear a cross? Good question. All right, so we got 8 people on here. We'll go ahead and kick it off. So this is Buckets and Bibles live stream Q&A. So if you got a question, put it in all caps in case it gets crazy, and so I can see it easier. And if I miss it, I apologize. It's a small stream because we're not on the live feeds because the phone is sideways, which is better for you and better for me. It's a little more personal, usually a lot less trolls. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, any kind of prepping questions or Bible questions or whatever, dude, we could talk about it. Personal questions, testimony, whatever, it don't matter to me. What you guys got? This water's good right now. I will tell you guys, valuable lesson learned on prepping. I think all the children of Israel, or Aaron, maybe. Hold on, stand by. I am live streaming. What's up, love?
Are the potatoes done?
Go look. I'm not cooking them. You're cooking them.
Yeah, I just checked it and it burnt me.
Okay, we'll go figure it out. Mommy's right there. Just ask her.
She's doing something.
Sammy, don't be bugging, dude. Go
Okay.
now. Thank you. Yeah. So I will tell you a valuable thing is if you're going to use 55 gallon drums, plastic ones, and you use the whitish, clearish kind of white lids, they get brittle in the sun after a few years. I mean, brittle. So like paint them or keep them out of the sun somehow. What's up, Dano? Can I talk about Shemitah year? So you guys are going to do your first Shemitah year this year? Why is my question. Are you doing it this year? We're doing it specifically this year, mostly because we don't know what freaking year we're on. But we all agreed on this year was the year we were going to do it, whether we were ready or not. You know, it says when you come into the land, does that mean each of us when we come into each of our land? Well, if that's the case, then we're doing it all separately, which doesn't make sense. It's really set for community. It's really about letting the land rest. And if you look at the history, they're an agricultural people, Hebrews. So they grew and raised their own livestock. So the food that they grew is what they ate. And so when you let the land rest for a year, before you do that, you get an increase. And the Father blesses you with an increase that will carry you through while the land is resting. Because not only do you have to wait an entire year from your last harvest, but you've got to have enough storage. So prepping is a thing. And you've got to have enough to carry you until the next harvest, which the harvest is the end of the year harvest. You can have early harvests or mid-season harvests on certain stuff you grow, but a lot of the stuff was like towards the end. So their big end of the year gathering that they were going to put up for the winter time, you'd be waiting a long time. That's a season and a half. So that's a lot of stacking food up. So that's a year and a half or a year plus whatever that he's going to bless you on the year of release. Like on the 6th year, you're going to get a pretty huge blessing. But if you're doing that yourself and you're not experiencing that with community, with people, it's really weird, because you think about, we're all good at growing and doing different things. We all have different giftings and talents. If I'm super good at growing potatoes and Dudley sucks at it, right? But he's really good at growing tomatoes or cucumbers or something, we would be bartering for what we were short on, right? Or if I had a bad yield on one thing that I was growing, you know, and everything else was super plussed up, right? We would be doing some bartering, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to see the blessings that your brother and sister get when they're being obedient to the Shemitah if you're doing it solo. So George, I guess my question is, why are you doing it this year when I know you're really new, at keeping Torah? Are you just doing it because we're doing it this year? Because that's really, I guess, my question. What's up, Sheepdog Tanker? Just standing by. It's probably a lag between what you guys, hopefully we're still 5x5 too. Never know with the internets these days. What's up, dude? Okay. So I'm just waiting for George to respond. I guess I could talk about something else until then. Any other questions? This is just a Q&A. No questions? No nada? Okay, well, Q&A. If you got a question, put it in all caps. If you just want to chat in the background, that's cool too, man. I'm actually here just so you guys can pick my brain, and then I can ask you questions too. But You got to give me something to springboard off of, for sure. Well, ministry with grindstones simple, because there's a whole bunch of people in grindstone. So if you're trying to balance between how busy you are and whether that be work or ministry work or all the above and family, no matter what, my family gets me on the weekends. And I make sure that I set that time apart. Shabbat, 100% they're getting me. And if my wife needs me to, and I got honeydews, I'll hang out. And if my wife is had enough, or she's a little thin or not feeling well, I will take work off. I'll take time off and come and be with her. And I used to not do that. It used to be, well, too bad I'm working, but now it's like I figure it out. But as far as grindstone goes, grindstone isn't a full-time position for really anybody except for the main people in the office, which is going to be like Kyle and Cindy, and a couple other people. That's really it. Outside of that, it's if we're not on deployment, we're not doing much. There's a few guys like Waffles and Ezra that stay pretty busy keeping the equipment in the building and all those things up to key. But as far as full time, it's not like that. So it's easy with the grindstone stuff. My ministry is what I do on Friday nights here and what I do when I go on deployments, and then pretty much what I do anytime I'm talking to somebody that I don't know or even people that I do know is I talk Bible stuff all the time. It's pretty much all we yap about. Family has to see, it's our job as men in a relationship. If we're married and we have children, or if we're married, our time is divided between ministry or work or both, and our wives, because our wives they need a leader. They need to be loved on. They need attention. They need to feel important and heard. And it is really, really important that we do our best at doing that. And none of us are perfect at it, but it's intentional time spending. I think that there's signs when you can tell that they're getting a little thin, and so hanging out and making sure that they're squared away, and showing the effort, it goes a long ways. It does. It goes a long ways. Any other questions? No questions? No nothings? So John, I'll be honest with you. So Venti Does It is asking, what's my opinion on Seventh-day Adventist congregations for Saturday fellowship? I think that they're closer than a lot of other Christian denominations, but you're probably going to get some feedback on like eating clean, or eating meat in some of them. I know that some of the Seventh Days, they're all vegetarians. So it's interesting. Yeah, I got my truck fixed. I fixed it like quick. Ezra showed up and we just threw some parts on there and I kept rolling. But I don't really mesh well with most denominations. Yeah, so I can't go to Sunday church, man. It's not my jam. And even so, modern day Christians and me, we don't mix well. And the reason we don't mix well is because we don't believe the same. We're not equally yoked. And also, I found that I don't need fellowship with the wrong people. I need fellowship with the right people. And me settling isn't great, because then I get comfortable with stuff that is not permissible in my walk. If I went and I had, like, let's say they had snacks out or they brought food or it was a cookout, can I eat any of their food? Probably not. Probably most of it's unclean. So then again, and then they're going to be like, oh, well, why can't you eat this? And then you get the witness to them, and then you'll see what happens is people don't want to hear it, or they immediately there's a wall, and then there's actually no real community and connection. Um, yeah, I've done all the different churchianity stuff, man, over the years. Like when I came to this, it was because the walk was dramatically going to change, and it is tough to do this, especially on Sabbaths without a holy convocation. You know, like especially um, the weekly Sabbaths. It gets a little lonely, and I'll tell you, if you're lonely in the beginning, it's good because he builds us up and he gives us endurance through doing that. And then when it's time, and when you've matured enough in your walk with your heart condition, like no matter if I'm doing this by myself, I'm doing this. As long as your heart is turned back towards him, he'll eventually put you in with people that you need to be with. And that time in the wilderness when we first come to the way is intentional, I think, for a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of us. I hope that answers it for you. Any other questions? This is just a live Q&A, so I know there's a few new people on here kind of wondering what we're doing. If you got questions, put them in all caps if you can. Yeah. Feels like peat moss. So, oh, that's not what you said. Yeah. So the loneliness, man, there's a time of separation. Part of that is us unlearning and coming to our own convictions without anybody interrupting that between us and him. And it requires. Why do you think Messiah went off for 40 days and fasted? You know, it's like all the stuff he was like purging his system of it. So it was like a fresh start. So it was like he wanted to make sure that he was on point with all this stuff. He knew like it was going to be a heavy task. So, you know, and like walking after him is a heavy task. And so when we choose to lay our lives down, we set aside our own lives, man. And we decide that I'm going to follow him even if I lose everybody. And that's just the way it is. And that's tough for people because they're like, well, what about my daughter, or what about my mom and my dad, and what about my uncle or my grandma? And like, they're not going to be standing there with you when they open the book of life and it's judgment day, and you're accountable for everything that you've said and done. You know, they're not going to be standing there with you. That your walk is your walk, and it's got to be personal between you and him. You know, it's got to be, because we are all made for a purpose, and not all the purposes are the same. So the stuff that John or freaking JT or Dudley or TJ or Pastor Joe, like we all have different skill sets, and we're all really good at different things. And I can see how the Father shapes all of us in our own walks, and all the different walks build each one of us in different seasons, and different seasons, each one of us shine more than the others, and it's for a purpose, you know. And like getting grounded and established in your faith and your walk is like huge for all of us to like come to that with out there in the wilderness solo bolo for a little bit. And it's a tough one, man. So like it's really important though. It's not comfortable, you know, purging ourselves of all the false doctrine, all the false understandings, the ways of the world, period. You know, I was just thinking, like, I got like 2 or 3 TVs in my house, and it's like, gosh, I hate these things. Like, why? Like, what do they do that's beneficial besides distract me? You know, So there's just some stuff there. Yeah, and I think what's up, learn and teach everything. So, and I also think that it's one of those things where um, everybody that everybody that has a real conviction to like keep Torah and to keep the feast days and to keep Sabbaths and to eat clean, and to try to do their best at loving their neighbor and having compassion. Everybody that their heart turns to that what's prophesied in the Old Testament and the New, um, there's a major shift in what we do and how we live. And we're called to be a holy people, set apart people, right? And I think that the set apart means that you're not going to be like everybody else. And if you try to blend in, are you really set apart? You know, because I'm not trying to blend in, and I can't care what you think about that. And that's a tough one, dude. Just like, I don't care. I'm doing what I have to do. That's it. Some people really struggle with that, and some people are great at solo. I'm a people person, so I can people really hard. I got a lot of spoons, and some people are not. Some people are introverts. I'm not a like super extrovert, but I'm definitely like people. I do better with people around. That's just how I get down. Hold on, I missed some stuff in the chat, I think. Saucin said, so do you think we'll have to answer for things that we have confessed before we come into covenant with Yah? Um, be honest with you, I don't know. There's a lot of mysteries of the Father that I think we're all going to be caught off guard and surprised by. Like, oh, it's like that, huh? Wow, I couldn't even imagine that. I think it's interesting. Okay, so let's see. Joshua's got something on here. Okay. Hold on. Nathan said, stand by. Hold on. I got to get that back. So Nathan said it's so hard to be set apart when everyone you tell what everyone tells you what you are doing is wrong. That's how you know it's right, bro. And here's the thing is the Bible and the instructions in there, they're spiritually discerned. And it says to the carnal mind, these things are foolish. And even though people say they're Christians, I'm not going to say they're not, but I'm going to say if you're not seeking truth, then you haven't woken up yet. And people that are not awake are going to get caught off guard. You know, the word says to stay awake, you know, and be sober minded. So sin is sin, man. And I can't, like, there's no way that we're getting out of that. We can't change the definition. We can't make it something it's not. The only thing that's going to be different in the conviction of sin is going to be in your personal walk. And if he convicts you to do something or not to do something that doesn't contradict with the word, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, you need to go here or you need to stop doing this one thing, right? Like, pull back. Like, for me, I had a conviction to stop fishing about 6-7 years ago. I don't know, maybe less than that. Yeah, probably 7 years ago. And I tried to ignore it, and it was just really getting bad. And so I said, okay, I'm done fishing then. And it was weird because that was like my main squeeze. You know, that was my side chick, really. And I did it. So like when you're convicted to do something and you do it, like he shows you why, not necessarily right away, but he shows you why. And so if that's not in there and you're convicted of it, if you go against what he's telling you to do, is that sin? Yeah, it is. Because if you know the right thing to do and you don't do it, for you, this is sin, and that's scripture. But the overarching is: are you breaking the Ten Commandments? Are you breaking the Ten Commandments? How they're specified in the Torah, how they're broken down on what applies to us. I mean, there's a lot there, and it's not an easy task to like go from not doing any of that stuff to doing it. And it's not like you could just all of a sudden put the hat on and you're doing it. It doesn't work like that. Like most of us have to learn. We have to learn how to start doing each thing, and then like we take it too far left or too far right, and they're like, oh, we're actually supposed to be over here more towards the middle. And that takes time, and that's part of when we're solo out in the wilderness, when we're first coming into this, why we should not be trying to teach people when we're still learning ourselves. If you don't have at least three seasons of keeping it for yourself, of true conviction of that this is it, and there's not another way, of your own studies, it's tough for you to try to really tell people. Because I told people in the first couple of years, and I didn't know how to present it. I didn't know how to present it without kicking people in the teeth. I didn't know how to build enough context with people that just wasn't shitting on their Wheaties immediately. I'm just like, Christmas is pagan, and they're like, whoa, bro, you know. And it's like the day before. It's not. Yeah, that's not gonna go over well. It's not gonna create a good witness. So there's ways to do stuff that take time and maturity in the walk, not in just the hearing of it, but in the doing of it. That's the maturity, is the reps and sets. Stand by, my phone's gonna die. Take you guys with me over here to the charger. Okay. Oh, there we go. Get you guys plugged in, and then somebody said something in the chat. I didn't see it. Oh yeah. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, and some of that too is like, I had a brother that emailed me, got on Patreon, and he emailed me, and he's like, hey, I'm trying to get married and do all these things, and I've been trying to, you know, I was a street preacher and a prison preacher for years, and he was really new to Torah, didn't quite understand, and he was trying to tell his fiance like all these things, and it wasn't fruitful. And I said, you need to stop. And he goes, I'm really new, I'm brand new, I don't really know, I'm just trying to learn. And I said, stop trying to tell people what you're doing then. Don't tell them what you're doing. Say you're convicted to do certain things, and when you figure it out, you'll try to explain it then. But that's the whole thing, is you don't have to explain to people. Just be like, hey, I'm convicted to do this. It shows that it's in the Bible, and until that changes, this is what I'm doing. Outside of that, I can't explain it to you. You're just gonna have to trust me, and leave it. Don't try to tell them, oh yeah, you got to be doing it too, because they're not gonna. You know, the fruit of your walk is what the witness is, right? People come on deployment, and then later they'll ask other people that have hung out with us, not on deployment, like at home, and they'll go, are these guys really this way? Like, do they do this all the time? Are they really like that? And the answer is yeah. Like, this is what we do all the time. We lift each other up. We pray. We talk about the Bible all the time. Like that's the way we live our lives. So it's not a show. It's just who we are. It's like, I don't know. It's just who we are. Any other questions? Two waters down. I'm gonna check this one. We'll be at a half a gallon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, be the light for sure. And the light isn't loud. The light's just a symbol. It's like it's showing. What's up, Lone Star Living? Um, it's like when your testimony on how you live your life, um, it's like blamelessly walking in the commands, right? So righteousness. When they see that, they're like, hey, you can't find fault in what he's doing because it's not against the word. But people try to. People are like, oh, you're spitting on the work of the cross. Bro, show me in the Bible where it says this is a sin or where I'm not supposed to do this. And they'll take a verse that's not even close to context and they'll try to put it there. And it's easy to say, hey, I understand where you're at with that. Like I believe that too, but right now this is what I've been led to do, and I'm going to do it. And they may shake their head, but they'll let it go. And then as they watch you overcome, it'll be more of a witness to them than you actually trying to convince them this is the right thing to do. You're just saying, I have to do it. It's the right thing for me to do. But that's early in your walk. Later in your walk, I'll get down, I'll crack the Bible open and be like, show me where it says that. And I'll show you where it says the opposite. Or I'll show you where you think Paul says we don't do that. And then I'll show you where he says we do it. You know what I mean? Like there's so much in there that we should share with people when we can. What do I say? I would say that they haven't read Romans 11, and that everybody in the renewed covenant is grafted into Israel. So if you believe in Messiah, you're Israel. And some people aren't walking in that, but truly, truly love the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. They just don't know who they are yet. And it's not my job to convince them. I can share little nuggets. I can plant little seeds, but sometimes people aren't ready for it, and it's not their time. I don't pull back, but I also am I use tact when trying to witness to certain people, and sometimes I fail at epically. But if they don't think that that applies to them, I also wonder. That's really weird. So Gentiles, like that's the thing, is when you say it like that, if you're a Christian, you're not a Gentile, because that's not what it says. Dang, my Bible's not sitting right here, because that's not what it says in 2 Thessalonians starting in verse 11. So if you crack that, that's an easy quick fix, because now that we're believers, being separated from God and having no covenant and no promise in the world, now through our faith in Messiah, we are now brought into the promises of Israel. You know what I mean? Like the Commonwealth of Israel. Why would that matter? Why would they even put that in there if it wasn't valid or true? See, the context is still there. But those verses only mean the context. You can twist it into some other doctrine if you don't keep Torah, if you don't know what sin is, if you don't keep the Moedim, if somehow Paul's writings supersede anything else in the Bible, it's not going to mean that to you. It's going to mean something else. And for me, it's easy to see, but it's not easy to see for everybody. So, oh, come on, there we go. Christians, by who definition, can't be Israel themselves? Why can't they be Israel is what my question is. Why can't they be Israel? There's some verses in there that say that you can be Jew if you choose to be, which I thought was fascinating the first time I saw that. Now, there's a lot more context to it than just that simple form, but it's in there. And what's up, trying and doing? So, I don't know if his Divine Shadow, I don't know if you're still on here, but curious about some more input on that. Standing by. Also, if I read it wrong, you guys got to tell me I'm reading it wrong too, because I'm hella dyslexic. So, dude, if you guys don't have some of these, definitely get some Sawyer Minis. These are excellent, and they screw on to like a smart water bottle. Super duper good. Yeah, and most of them come with a back flushed straw, so you can blow the debris that gets into them into the small orifice, and you can blow them back out. Don't do life straws or a lot of other crap. I mean, if it's like the only thing you got, cool, but these are like 30 bucks, and they say on the package 100,000 gallons. That's a lot. So this is epic. But what you also need to understand is if you use one of these and it has moisture in it, it will freeze and crack and not work. So be very careful with filtration systems, because if you leave water in them and they get frozen, they crack and the water goes right through them and you wouldn't even know it. You'd just be drinking Grow. You might know it by the color. But yeah, you got to make sure you dry them out, blow all that out of there, and keep them from freezing, even if you got to just keep it in your pocket. Any other questions? His Divine Shadow isn't got anything to say besides one little mic drop, I guess. It's cute. You guys gonna do Turkey Day? I'm doing one. I'm having a bunch of people over here. We don't like get all into it. Oh, happy Thanksgiving. We don't care. We're just getting a reason to get together and eat food with everybody. Yeah. Gonna be a good one. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, I guess we'll jump off here. We'll keep it short. Anyhow, I guess shalom then. We'll catch you guys next time. That's it.